Hello, welcome back to the Cathedral Library for another round of historical Jackanory. This week I wanted to introduce you to one of the major collections in the library, the collection which basically refounded the library after the Civil War. And it's the collection of Henry King, who was Bishop of Chichester, appointed just at the beginning of the Civil War and deposed and reinstated at the restoration of King Charles II, dying in 1669 and buried here in the cathedral. And when he died, he bequeathed his extensive library to us here, and this formed the basis for the new library, that which we see around us now. One of the interesting features of the collection is that it contains several books which we know were owned by John Donne because they feature his signature. Here is one of them, De Formica by Jeremia Wilde, which is a study of ants, but we can see John Donne's signature here at the bottom. And here is a book owned by Henry King also, John of Salisbury's Policraticus, a political treatise from the 12th century, which was in circulation for many centuries thereafter. This edition comes from the late 16th century, and we can see here in the front cover of the book Henry King's signature, ex Ide Christi, that is from Christ Church, Oxford, indicating that this must have been one of the books which Henry had on hand as an undergraduate at Christ Church in Oxford and kept throughout his life and given to us upon his death. John of Salisbury's writings interesting for its urging of moderation, of a degree of scepticism about human reason and about how we make decisions in the public sphere. That seems quite relevant at the moment, where we're faced with all sorts of challenges, where we expect government and the state and the church to have all the right answers in perfect clarity, when, as we know only too well, that's very difficult to come by. That in itself reminds me of a text which we're studying in our Old Testament course at the moment, Ecclesiastes, one of the great pieces of Jewish wisdom literature. It's well known chiefly from funerals, probably chapter 3 in particular, where the teacher speaks about there being a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, and so on. All rather gloomy, you might think, but in one sense, a very realistic, sober reflection upon what it means to be human. At the end of the book, the teacher says to us, the end of all the matter is fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of everyone. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Both Henry King, John Donne, and indeed John of Salisbury lived through extremely turbulent times. And those words from Ecclesiastes are a reminder to us in times of stress for our nation, for our church, to keep our trust in God, to fear him, and wait for times when we shall laugh and dance again.